So we can start. I'm Mercy. I am a small business owner. I run BotLab. BotLab is based in Nairobi. It's a technology firm. We offer technology-based trainings to SMEs, to board members, and also to the tech community. We also offer data science services, data science as a service to different companies. So for this session, just to introduce, the topic is we have been running an SME Going Digital series. This is the fourth part of the series. It's called How to Increase Sales Using Digital Marketing. So one of the reasonings that came with this webinar was about your business has gone digital. So what does it take to drive sales consistently? So for this session, we will learn about effective steps of how to pivot from face-to-face to digital. And also now that you're digital, how do you also accelerate? And then creating an effective digital strategy covering customer management and crisis management. And also the skill for growth, do's and don'ts on the same. So the panelists that we have today, I'll start with Chris. Chris Akin is a sales and marketing consultant at CLA. He's trusted sales and marketing consultant to international businesses operating in sub-Saharan Africa. His expertise is scaling the commercial side of business across a variety of industries, such as restaurant chains, socially responsible consumer goods, apparel and cosmetic brands, agricultural companies, and more. Previously, Chris was the Vice President of Global Sales at BAN Manufacturing across East Africa. Chris is also the founder of numerous businesses and a perpetual entrepreneur who often turns his passion in artisan fashion in Southern Africa, surfing, team building into startup opportunities. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Then we have Kajuju Kiogora. She's the founder and MD of Healthy Kajuju. She's the founder of Healthy Kajuju, a Kenyan brand that promotes healthy and positive well-being through a range of delicious plant-based foods and beverages. She started Healthy Kajuju as a blog while in university, and in 2016, she made the first products in her parents' kitchen. They have since launched products stocked across Nairobi, including breakfast cereals, snack bars, energy bites, crackers, flour, oat milk, and lots more to come. Their purpose is to share the benefits and joys of plant-based living, and they're only getting started. Welcome, Kajuju.
Thank you.
Then we have Lilian Njuguna. Lilian Njuguna is a senior product manager at Safaricom and MPESA for business. Lilian is a follower of Christ, a mom, a woman passionate about technology and financial services, especially for business transformation. She has over 10 years experience in fintech with a background on strategic account management, product management, and now evolving into a platform manager. She has strong consulting skills, and she's keen to learn and get on boards that may require young energy and expertise. She also enjoys working with teams, reading, and also golfing. Welcome, Lilian.
Thank you, Mercy, and good afternoon to everyone.
Then we have Rosemary Momanyi Opio. She's the Google SME lead for East Africa. Rosemary is not just another top executive in a blue chip company. She has over 2 decades of global experience, including from the USA, where she worked with Fortune 500 companies such as Nissan Northern America and GM Corporation. She's an alumnus of the American University, Washington, DC, where she got her MBA, and the University of Maryland, College Park, where she got her undergraduate degree. She also completed advanced management program from Strathmore University in 2010. Upon her return to Kenya from the US in 2007, she took up a role with Diageo EABL as a group head of innovation and was later appointed to head marketing of the EABL Spirits portfolio before taking up her current role at Google in 2012. In her current role at Google, Rosemary is the co-marketing partner manager for Sub-Saharan Africa, and the small and medium business lead for East Africa, supporting small and medium businesses recover and restart post-COVID-19 by growing their online presence and finding new customers. Prior to that, she was a deal maker for Africa, responsible for paving the way for new innovations, such as the launch of Loon in Kenya in partnership with Telkom Kenya. Prior to that, she was an industry manager for Kenya and helped create awareness of digital advertising to advertisers. She's also a mother of two, a wife, and a mentor to young ladies. Her purpose is to help people seek out and realize their greatness so that they live fulfilling lives of purpose and service to other people. Welcome all.
Thank you,
including the audience. So if you joined late, you can introduce yourself on the chat section. Tell us what your business is and who you are. We'd love to hear from you. This webinar is also brought to you by BotLab in partnership with Gaga events. So Gaga is an event management company. So we'll go direct to the questions. So one of the questions that probably I would like to ask Rosemary is, what kind of content mistakes do SMEs overlook, and what can they do to improve engagement and visibility?
Thank you very much, Marcy. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. So good to be here with everyone. So for me, I think it's very important for an SME, if you're very clear on what it is that you want to achieve. Are you looking to deliver awareness for yourself? Are you looking to drive conversions for your business? And if you're looking to drive conversions, it's very important to have a very clear call to action. That way you're very clear on what you want to say in your messaging, and therefore have very clear steps that you want a customer to then take to be able to achieve that conversion. If your goal is to deliver awareness, it's important to be very clear on where you want to be seen and where you want to be found. And so if you're trying to be all to everyone, it's not very possible, but be very clear on who your target audience really is, and then therefore go where they are and place yourself in front of them. So it's all about being clear on what you want. If it's awareness creation or conversion driving, have a clear call to action, and then be very clear on who your customer is, and then go directly to where you can find them.
Okay. Maybe Kajuju, we can ask, what are those lessons that you have learned in your own path when it comes to content, especially when you want to engage, to improve your engagement and visibility in the last maybe 4 years since you started? And what are those things that have worked for you? What are those things that you tried as a small business owner?
Okay, thank you, Marcy. For us, what has worked is definitely, like Rosemary has said, knowing your audience and who you're trying to target. So for instance, I like to use insights, many of which are actually free. So we post a lot on Instagram, on Facebook, and with that you can actually get insights with every post that you create. So with that, I'm able to see the gender of the people who are looking through the posts, through the stories, their ages, the days on which they look at the posts. So such insights have been very helpful for us. And using that, I'm now able to target maybe a younger audience. And that will also inform the kind of writing that I'll include in the posts. So I'll end up using like emojis or simple kind of writing. I'm using a lot of pictures, images for that kind of audience. So that really helps. Something that also helps with content is telling a story. It's not enough to just kind of put your product out there and say, oh, I'm selling this, please buy it. It really helps when there's a story that goes with it. People like to buy into a story. Like, why should I really engage with your content? Why should I buy your product? So that really helps. And with my company, Healthy Kajuju, because I've also personalized it. So we like to show how each product can be used. You know, I won't simply post a picture of the product and leave that there. I'll explain how you can use it. So personalizing it can also help to a certain extent.
And also I've seen like your pictures, maybe you can tell us about the pictures that you started using, because now when I look at your pictures, beautiful pictures that attract the clientele that you're looking out for. So did you learn through your mistakes? Because when I look at most businesses when they start, their pictures, sometimes it's something that you take and you're not sure. Sometimes the lighting is bad or the angling, and you see all this drives your content. It drives the engagement and visibility, because as we all know, different platforms prioritize different algorithms. So you'll find, for example, like if you post a video on Facebook, you will garner more views. If you post a beautiful Instagram image, you will garner better visibility. Has that been your experience as well? And how did you narrow down to the kind of content that you actually place there? How do you decide that today I'm going to post about snack bars? How do you decide? Do you have like a content schedule where you usually think through each week on what you need to post?
Yeah, thank you, Masi. So that's very interesting that you scrolled through the photos, because I know you can definitely tell a difference, like in the quality of photos. I mean, at first I would just use my phone. Obviously, maybe at the beginning it wasn't like the best smartphone or something. So you can tell the quality of images was different. But then with time, as you gain access to maybe a better smartphone or a camera, I mean, the quality of the images is definitely important, because that's what first catches someone's eye, the image. And then now maybe they'll actually read what's at the bottom of the image. So your image has to be very eye-catching to draw someone's attention and for them to stop and actually look. Because especially on social media, I'm sure you've seen memes of this, but people just kind of scrolling, like, or just tapping on stories, like tap, 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 tap. What makes someone stop and actually pay attention to that picture rather than just scroll down? So that's important. So like you said, scheduling, that's also very important. So what I do is I'll put aside maybe a day or 2 days where I take images. So I'll plan out what images or what products do we need to promote. So let's say the granola, the oat milk, and then I'll plan that out, get all the accessories I need, get those images taken, and then schedule, like, today, Friday, we'll post about clusters. Maybe next week we should post about the bars. So there's that. And those are usually like high quality images, and I've used a good camera for that. But then it's also great to be spontaneous with content, because you can really tell when content has been so planned in advance, but spontaneity is also great. So if you'll see, like, one of the recent images I posted was just me sitting in Nairobi traffic on Uhuru Highway, and I had a snack bar with me, which I usually do in my handbag, and I just started snacking on it in traffic. It was so hot, and I just took a photo, like with a matatu in the background, and shared that. So it doesn't always have to be so scheduled and so planned. Being spontaneous with content is also great, I think. It needs to be a mix of the two.
Okay. Thank you. Chris, this is for you. Businesses in the service industry struggle with social media. Are there local examples that you have seen previously, or those that you have worked with, especially in the service industry, and how did they execute?
Thank you. Do you mind if I actually just add on something to the past conversation? So I guess before I answer that question, going back, one thing when I had my own businesses starting up, and even I advise now, is like have a style guide. As much as we were talking about, scheduling and calendaring, have some style guide. If it's you posting or your business partner or someone else that, you know, talks about what does the photo look like, what fonts are we using, you know, if we're using filters for consistency. I tend to see a lot of businesses where it's just a little bit of everything, and that brand style is not consistent. You know, it seems a little bit different. That was one thing I was talking about. And just, you know, as we said, people have really short attention spans. You know, they're scrolling. When you're deep in it, I think a lot of times for the ads, especially online, people can get rather complicated. If your potential consumer in that lead can't get the image and that call to action in like a split second,
Yeah.
you know, it might be lost on them. So, you know, really simplify. I think that's a big thing. Show it to a friend, show it to someone else in the office. If they can see it on their phone and get what you're featuring, that's the product, that's the call to action quickly, great. If it takes them more than a split second, you might want to simplify that imagery or the wording. So that was one. You know, that being said, on the service side, not specific examples, but I would say that, like, I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I would say that, you know, going on to LinkedIn, if you're a service provider, you know, might be a more robust way to see other service-based content in terms of their messaging, you know, their branding and stuff. That might give you more examples and, you know, idea generation than some other platforms. You know, and that I would get localized on that one for LinkedIn to see other examples.
Okay. Lilian, have we seen any local examples for businesses in the service industry and how they have managed to execute?
Yes, for sure. So I think from my experience on a day-to-day, I work a lot with businesses. So solely around payments, but over time, and especially during this time of COVID, we've noticed that a lot of businesses have had to shift how they advertise, how they sell themselves. I think what has changed a lot is we've even used some of them as influencers. So you find people like Chef Jikoni, they're very basic Njugunas, Maurice, a coach, a gym coach, and an instructor. So what I've noticed is a lot of the businesses that we've been working with, the small and medium businesses, have even changed how they tell their story. It's a bit more natural. It's a bit more, I'd say, while they're at their trade. So you probably even realize as you sell on social media, it's important to sell while you're doing the trade, so to the customers who already exist, so that they can feel that personal touch. Because I run also a small business online, it's Share 254, but I've realized that however much you want to take the nice photos, you know, do nice content, sometimes customers actually relate with your story as a business. Why do you do things the way you do? Why do you have only women attendees, for instance? Why did you pick the location of your business? You know, there's a lot of things that customers are really interested in that that I think should be told differently. So yes, we interact with a lot of businesses as MPESA. We've been supporting a lot of them over time, and even we've been a lot now more involved in telling their story on social media as opposed to telling our story. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the other question is, this is for you, Chris. If a business or an individual page has over 10,000 followers with 0 conversions, how can they craft sales strategies around this? Thinking about both products and services.
I mean, if they have, so I think we spoke about this once before with the conversions, and I just think the audience, I mean, you're gonna have to find the root of the problem and the issue of why you're not converting. I think that's going to get into the analytics side of it if you're using a backend platform, and more basically, you know, finding out where are you losing people. You know, that's going to be key. You know, you're not going to be, I mean, trying to fix that, just guessing at the problem and throwing out solutions is, you know, that's just throwing darts kind of, you know, figuring out where you're losing them in the process. Is it that they're leaving an empty cart? You know, are they engaged with the ad for a split second and then they're leaving on the page? You know, where are they exploring? Are they going to the website? And I think that, and we spoke about this in the past, like really mapping that out. Now, if you're using a backend platform that does that, and you can look at the analytics, and if it's you fine, you know, if you have to do some digging, you know, I would map out what your sales process is or what the engagement process is, and try to start figuring out, like, in different buckets where you're losing someone, you know, and what the conversion rates are before that sale. Because there's conversions of like, did they click here? Did they fill up their cart? Did they enter payment information? Whatever it is. I mean, you're gonna have to look at those different stages and see if there's a pattern or a trend that you can identify, and then hone in on that. By the way, and if you're a small business, I mean, you have an audience that you can reach out. I mean, hopefully you can reach out to people at some point and actually do some basic market research. If it's nothing more than DMing people, and you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to dedicate, a few hours and start DMing 100 people just to get a feel for it and get some consumer feedback, that's invaluable. We're not asking someone to reach out to 1 million potential customers. I mean, talking to 20 is better than guessing at 0.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe, Kajuju, maybe you could add something on that, where when you were starting out, because I've seen your business, mostly you work with partners who stock your products. So how do you measure your success? How do you make sure that, since you're creating awareness of your products here, that if someone goes to the gym where you stock, they can find it. If they go to the supermarkets where you stock, they can find it. How do you correlate the selling online and the fact that you are also raising awareness of your stocking?
Sorry, I'm not sure I've understood your question. How do we correlate sales in retail outlets?
If you want to measure, for example, I have a business where I have 10,000 followers or 5,000 followers, but my conversions are low. I'm selling directly, or I'm stocking in outlets, for example, like the way you stock in some of the gyms, some of the retail markets, and the supermarkets. So how do you correlate that your efforts have impact in your sales?
Okay. So I guess I try to get a lot of feedback, and usually some of it people just offer it. So you'll find people will post a picture on their own pages when they get the products in an outlet, and they share that, and then I'll repost that. So I guess it's mostly seeking feedback, and usually you can do that even through simple prompts. Like if you go on IG and you're posting a story, they now have options where someone can ask a question, or you can ask a question and people just write in an answer. So I like doing that, especially if there's a new product. I'll just write a simple question, and people can easily just type in something quickly, because sometimes people are kind of put off from giving feedback because it seems like a long process. Yep. So it's usually very instant and very quick. So I try to get opinions, like in terms of flavors and where are you getting this. So every time someone will share a picture of a product, I'll ask, oh, where did you get it from? And that kind of tells me, okay, what spots are popular with certain people. So that's usually helpful.
Okay. Rosemary, maybe to change it a little bit from social media, most service-based businesses have websites. And some of the websites have Google Analytics on them. So they can see a lot of people are visiting, but they're not selling. How would they be able to recraft their sales strategy?
Good question, Marcy. So one more thing just to add on to the previous discussion was that when you have followers, they're not always necessarily customers. They're just people who are following you. So always remember that these are just followers, but they're not necessarily people translating to actual sales. So just be aware of that as well. Yeah. So people come to your website but are not converting or doing an action that you want them to do, is to figure out where they're dropping off on the value chain, like Chris said. Just understand when they're coming in, where they're coming in from. Are they coming in from search or from YouTube or from Facebook? What was the source for that particular lead? And when they came to the website, where did they drop off? Were they stuck on this page? Is it because I've got too much content there, or it's not easy for them to go from point A to point B? So just kind of go through the whole process flow. go through a user journey observation to understand where are they dropping off. And then when you figure out where that point is, then you try and optimize and say, fine, if I have this video and it's 30 seconds long, for example, and I see that at the 5th second, they're dropping off a lot. It's because beyond that point, it's either boring or it's not engaging. So go back and figure out what can I do to make that point more optimal, to drive even more viewership, for example. So it's all about going through the lens of a consumer and understanding where they're dropping off, and then figuring out what is making them drop off and how can I then help by making it simpler for them to navigate my website and to go to the point where they're able to fill in the cart and make a purchase.
Okay, so what you're saying is, if you have a website, it has to be integrated with Google Analytics so that you can see where your traffic is coming. And once you have a website, it does not mean that now customers will come. It means that you have to keep checking your analytics to see, and Google Analytics is free, by the way. So it's checking and seeing that the people who are coming to the site are going to my about page, and most of them are spending 10 seconds and then they go. So that means I need to recraft the content so that they can see either the products that I'm selling. Is that what you're saying?
Correct, exactly.
Okay, that's good.
Can
to
I
hear.
add something, a couple little points, I think, on that question?
Yeah.
So, I mean, so you mentioned service, industry products in the website. There's a couple things, and we've talked about clear call to actions. It's got to be clear and present. When they're navigating the site, they can't be 3 pages away and the call to action is 3 pages back and they're trying to navigate that. Like, has to be very accessible. I think that's important. If it's, also keep in mind what service you're selling. Like what your action might not be a sale. It might just be some basic engagement. If you're selling something that's extremely expensive or complex, the next natural step might not be ordering and putting it in their cart. And then 2 other things, like for the services, reciprocity, like give them some information. If it's legal or accounting, like giving some information before you ask to get some information, I think is going to be key, especially if it's like, fill out this form, do a quote, engage with us. And then put yourself in the consumer's, shoes. If it's a service, say it's legal, accounting, something like that, if you're asking them to fill out a ton of questions, give a lot of information, would you be willing to offer all that up just for that first action to get someone to call you back or get a quote? Is the bar too high sometimes? And I've definitely seen that on service websites where, in the customer, information portal, or to get a quote or, some engagement, they've asked someone to spend a lot of time and effort just for that first interaction. And there you might see, as she was saying, like there's the drop off. They filled out the first 3 questions. I'm not going to question 27 at this point,
Yeah.
and I drop off. Those are just a couple things I would keep in mind for services.
Yeah, definitely. Even another thing that I've just remembered is sometimes maybe it could be that your site is not loading fast enough, and the users of where you are targeting do not have fast internet. There's actually a tool by Google, I think it's called Google Test My Site. It tells you how fast it is for you to be able to load your site. So it even gives you a recommendation whether that is an average size, or it's fast, or if it's slow. So if it's slow, it means you need to go back to your web developer or designer to optimize it so that those people who do not have fast internet can still have access to your site. Because when people realize that it's taking too long to load, most people do not have the patience to wait. So they usually just log off. So yeah, then the next question is actually to you, Chris. How do you identify quality leads, and what can an individual or a business owner do to make sure that they complete the sale?
So I'm gonna answer that just in general for lead qualification. Right off the bat, I personally, and then when I advise companies, is to map out what your ideal lead is. Have a persona for that ideal lead. Look at your past customers and say, if this was the perfect customer, what does it look like? What are those characteristics? And I would then take the top, typically like 5 characteristics, rank them, and then like create some scoring system or some way to evaluate that. So if it's these 5 characteristics that are important to me, you know, maybe I'm scoring them from 1 to 5. My perfect customer can score a 25. You know, the worst possible customer is a 0. And then what's a qualified lead? To me, that's, you know, it's a 15, right? And then when I'm getting new leads in there, you want to be ideally scoring them or ranking them in that same system. If you're not going to get that formal, that's fine. But at least maybe informally, you have a way of judging where they are, you know, on that scale. That's, and everyone's is going to be different. Some of it might be based on revenue or the way that they found your product. Is it a client referral? Is it geographically based? But just think about who's the ideal customer, who's bought from you in the past the most, or, you know, turned into the most revenue, the best ROI, some metric on that. Characteristics, score them, and then evaluate people on that, and have a very strict criteria. I don't talk to anyone under a 15. 15 and above is a qualified lead. You know, what I'm really aiming for is, you know, a 20 and above, and that's how I'm actually going to start targeting and testing my marketing.
Okay, okay. Rosemary, this is also to you and everyone else. Everyone will get a chance to answer this. Are there any freemium tools that SMEs can use? And what value can they derive from them? So for example, they can use Canva to create images and posters for sale, also business documents alike that have a graphic designer look and feel. So Rosemary, are there any Google documents? Everyone, of course, will have a chance to talk about some of the freemium tools that they know out there and that businesses can use.
Yes, yes. Yeah, thank you, Marcy. So we have some tools that are actually quite free, not even freemium model based. One of them, I'd probably call it is Market Finder. It's a tool that we just launched a month ago. And I'll put the link here for everyone to just go and explore it very soon. But it's a tool that's available to any SME who has a product that they would like to export to a new market. So for example, I'm selling organic soap and I want to look for new markets for my soap. So they would use this tool, and I'll do a demo of it in my next presentation, Marcy, if that's okay with you. They'd put the website on this tool, and then it would scroll through the website and figure out what the keywords are on that website, and then say, oh, Marcy, you're selling organic soap. We found the same keywords with users in the US, in Japan, in Germany, and here's how big the opportunity is for you to export your products to those markets. And then here are the various partners you need to consider to be able to move from point A, Kenya, to point B, Japan, for example. So it's a powerful tool to help an SME who is looking to expand beyond their current boundaries, to help them decide where to go and then who to partner with along the way. That's one really powerful tool for any SME here on the call. And then number 2, we just launched this last month. It's called Marketing Kit, and I'll put the link here as well. Marketing Kit is a tool that helps an SME create for themselves assets. So normally they'd have to hire a creative agency to help them build banners and posters. But with this tool, they can then be able to create for themselves flyers, posters. They can then now go and post on social media to announce either campaigns they're running, or if they've got new opening hours, or if they're offering something that is unique on offer. So they can use this tool to help create for themselves posters and flyers that are at no cost to the SME. Okay. And then, of course, the other tools that you know about, analytics, which is very powerful as well to any SME with a website, as well as the other tools that like Instant Finder to know trends and help you understand who your clientele are. So I'll just pause there, but I'll send the links in the next few seconds on the chat.
No problem, thank you. Kajuju, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Yes, so Rosemary has mentioned some amazing tools. Analytics, I think, is very significant on social media. I think on every platform you can now access analytics and really know who your audience is and who is interacting with you and how. I used to use Canva, which I think is great when creating posters, promotional material. It's quite easy to navigate. So I'd recommend Canva as well when you're starting out. I also like to use Mailchimp. I still do use Mailchimp today. So it's used to send out newsletters by email to a select audience. So usually I select a certain day of the week. I like to do weekdays between Monday to Thursday, and I'll post news. So for example, if we've just started stocking at a new retail outlet, then I'll include that out there just to let people know. If we have a new product, I'll put that in there. But then it's also not just about trying to sell a product to people. I really like to iterate that it needs to be a story. So I'll include maybe a recipe, something that you can do with one of the products, or even just, sometimes even just how my day was, which can be interesting. So if it's something about being at the factory or having to meet with suppliers or something like that, just something interesting in my day to share with our audience. And usually you can get subscribers to newsletters either through your website. So we have a prompt on the website asking people whether they'd like to subscribe. And that's how we kind of collect or we make an audience. And so we'll also include promotions in that. So that's a great way to get people to subscribe to it. For example, I'll let people know that, you know, subscribe and you'll get information about promotions that we have, discounts. So that's a way of getting people to sign up. And it's a really amazing tool, I think.
Okay. They say email conversion has higher because those are people who are already interested in your product. So yeah. Chris, you wanna go next?
Well, in addition to what was mentioned, I would just say there's some freemium for CRM. If you're not using a CRM to manage your customers and relationships, there's some free versions and freemiums that you can look up. I mean, that's an easy entry point. You don't need to spend a crazy amount of money with, you know, one of the major ones. That's a big one. I mean, we've talked about analytics on all levels, and I don't know, if you're not using a CRM and your business is growing and it's scaling more than just the small stuff, I would say you're probably pretty in the dark about where your leads are coming for, your conversion rates, you know, who's buying, repeat customers, what these stages they're going through. It probably feels like a lot of guesswork or gut feel, and the CRM would just, you know, make it more data-driven analysis. But yeah, look around there. I mean, quite a few of them nowadays mimic the major brands in a lot of the features as either free or for a pretty nominal fee. You can get, you'll be miles ahead or kilometers ahead just with a nominal fee.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Lilian, would you like to add?
No, not for now.
Okay. Maybe this is to you, Lilian. From experience, what makes social media campaigns successful? And are there any do's and don'ts, especially when I think about since Corona started, when COVID-19 started, I started seeing MPESA for Business highlighting some businesses. I saw Njuguna's, I saw Osuma the Brad, I saw Zulu Meats. What makes those campaigns successful, and how will the small businesses be able maybe to duplicate some of the strategies that worked for you?
Yeah, the biggest gain for the businesses we've picked has been, one, their customers already sell their products. So you find that you're not telling a story that is not familiar with your consumers. So I believe that the biggest customer for you is actually the one who's already existing. So that by the time your story is out there, it's already known. I know Kajuju from Alpha Fit, and when she tells her story, I can relate. I can relate her story because it's something that, you know, it's very evident when you transact as a consumer. So I believe that as even you advertise your business, the biggest gain is start from already, you know, giving services that are good to consumers, because we believe that consumers are your first sellers. The other thing we've learned from telling stories is exactly that, tell the story. You'll hear Zulu Meat say, you'll hear Tyrus talking about how he started the business, why he started the business, the challenges he's faced. I think people appreciate when an entrepreneur tells of the challenges that they're facing, beyond just looking successful from the outside. And that's what we've used to layer or leverage the LIP and MPESA till. We started from what is the problem that businesses are experiencing today. They have issues with cash flow. We know that entrepreneurs are not able to be there on premise 24/7. You need to sell, you need to do your errands, you need to go source for customers, you need to attend webinars. While you're doing that, how are you, having visibility of the business? Do you have cashiers who can use the app and have visibility of transactions? Can you go cashless? So tell your story as authentically as possible, but also I think we also use a lot of tools as well. We use a lot of Google tools to also measure what stories are relevant. So the tools are available, they're free, I think, as was earlier mentioned here. So we also encourage businesses to use tools that are there, that are existing, and they don't have to be tools that are paid for. So yeah, I think those are the three things that I highlight.
Okay. This also goes to you, Rosemary. From experience, what makes social media campaigns successful? Are there do's and don'ts, especially when you think about organic, where you're not placing any ads, using different Google platforms that they currently have for small businesses? How will they be able to know that their campaigns are successful?
Yeah, so I guess I'll give my son, just don't try to be everything to everyone. Just be very clear that I know who I'm targeting, I know who I'm going after, and then decide for yourself, am I trying to pull audiences to me, or am I trying to push out a message or an awareness message? So if my goal is to push out a message about a product I'm launching and I want to just drive awareness and consideration, then I should be very clear on what tools I want to use. So you'd use things like display, things like video, because they're able to then showcase your product to the end user. But if your goal is to pull and try and get them to come to you and convert and to drive leads for you, you think about tools like, in this case, search, because in search, you'd be looking for, I'm looking for a plumber. You need that service right then and there. And therefore you'd say, fine, I want to make sure that when people are looking for plumbers, they find me. And when they find me and they click onto my website, they're able to figure out exactly where to reach me, whether it's a phone number or a lead callback form. So be very clear on a very simple step that they can then take once they land onto your website. Don't take them through 3 steps like Chris said. Very clear on the very first page how they can find you and be able to reach you immediately. So be very clear about what is your goal. And if your goal is to drive awareness, define for yourself what is success to you in that awareness. You want to have a million people seeing your ad, or is success for you seeing your ad and then coming to your website? Or if your goal is to try and drive conversions, are you happy with 10 clicks a day? And then how do you get 10 clicks a day, for example, to be able to convert into actual sales? So I think just be very clear on who you're trying to target. What is your campaign objective? Is it to push out a message for awareness, or to drive conversion through a pull? And then decide on whether it's push or pull, which will be the optimal medium to then use to drive awareness or to drive conversions. And then be very clear, what is your success KPI? And then track that daily, weekly, monthly, and then see, am I meeting my targets on impressions, or am I getting my leads? Are my leads converting? And then, of course, go along the way to optimize the journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kajuju, would you like to add about social media campaigns that have been successful for you? And what are the things that you have learned during your journey?
I feel like Rosemary and Lilian have really covered it. I had the same exact thoughts. I think they've covered it very well.
Okay. Chris, would you like to add?
Yeah, I would just say briefly in my experience, if it's a real campaign about something specific, that it's planned out in advance, that you have all your content that's done, it's all in the can, the content's done, the plan is there, the posts are written. I've made mistakes before where I started a campaign, a specific campaign, and then I was just like keeping up every day and creating stuff, and last minute, like all that should be done before you get it out into the world, number one. And then especially what's been effective, and I think this will go into the do's and don'ts, if it's a campaign and you're working with partners, that you've lined them up beforehand and they're ready to go. So this might be like, say, your retail distributors, that they know what they're going to be posting, they're committed to that schedule. If you're going to get PR and free editorial, that's planned well in advance before the campaign happens. Because on the consumer side, it all miraculously comes together. Everyone's posting about it. There's, the PR is happening, the partners are doing it, the posts are coming on Timely Matter, but that probably takes days, weeks, if not months sometimes on complexity to have that plan beforehand. It's never going to work if you just decide November 1, we're going to do it. And that's the day I'm going to start asking partners to post.
Okay. So Lilian will have to get off from the call. She has another meeting. So I would want to pose the last question to her. And it's about MPESA. 1 minute.
I think
so.
Yeah.
It's about MPESA or mobile money payments being important for selling things online. And also, the biggest assumption is that when you get a TL number or a pay bill number, the only value add is for transaction alone. I am sure now with the MPESA for Business app and many other value adds that you can tell us about, some of the businesses here can be able to derive value from them.
Yes, so beyond just being able to track your business while you're on the go through the MPESA for Business app, there are a lot of tools. So the app is being built on a super platform that allows us to layer value-add services. So right now we're able to give you a dashboard that shows you money in, money out. That's for the very small businesses. We're able to allow you to do payments out. Eventually, what we'll do is we're layering the platform to enable people to put in their mini app programs on it. So the mini apps, we will not ideally sell everything ourselves. All the values that will be on the platform will not be solely built by Safaricom. So we expect that people to come with financial and accounting tools. We expect data analytics guys to come and layer their services there. We also intend to deepen our financial services offering. We know right now it's payments in and out, but how about wealth creation? How about credit? How about opportunities to make money while you're transacting, savings as a business? So those things are going to be layered onto the business app. So it's just the beginning. We've just barely scratched the surface. The businesses that are there on board, I think they're getting delighted because that wasn't there in the past. But I can assure you that in the next 1 year, probably when we speak about this platform, it will even evolve to be something bigger than what you know as MPESA. So we're opening it up to developers to layer services on it. If any of the people in the audience have something that would be interesting for businesses that they think we can layer on the business app, I think it's something that I would be happy to have a conversation around. And so beyond that, also allowing businesses to experience tools that are instrumental in their day-to-day bookkeeping, cashier management. So you have how many cashiers checked in, which one transacted at what point. Are you able to track your customers? Are you able to do loyalty and rewards using the business app? Using the data that you get on MPESA without really intruding in the customer confidentiality? Are you able to tell your customer that, I know you experienced bad service yesterday and you paid with MPESA, but tomorrow when you pay, I'm going to give you a discount. So those are some of the things I think we should expect in the near future. And we're excited and we're thankful for the businesses that have supported us so far.
Okay. And I know there is this proposition that I have seen, I think, being advertised, where even through the system, the payable system, that someone can also be able even to pay salaries to their employees directly from the platform.
Exactly, yeah. So the payments out, you're able to pay them to other businesses, you're able to pay your employees, you're able to even pay, we even layer the bill manager where you can schedule your bills, that is electricity, water, KRA, all the bills that you do as a business eventually will be able to be scheduled through the MPESA for Business app, and you can even schedule payments to employees and pay them directly to their bank accounts or to their mobile numbers. So you're right, yeah.
Okay, that's happy to know, we'll go back to the other questions that we had. This goes to Rosemary. We love buying Google ads. I'm sure everyone here would want to learn something about placing ads. We are always keeping ads on YouTube or on a website. You're on a website, then you can see an ad. How does that work for small business? And what should they think about before placing an ad? Because there's so many types of ads, especially for the Google platforms. You can put a picture, you can embed it on a video, you can be on YouTube, you can decide to have it on Google Ads. What are those things that can help a small business think about, I want to get my users on YouTube, I want to place it on YouTube, or I want it to run, and what budget spend does that look like?
Yeah, thanks for that, Marcy. Yeah, so before you press an ad, the first question you want to ask yourself is, what is my objective that I want to achieve? And if I want to promote a new product, I want to create awareness for my ad. And therefore, I want as many people to see my ad as possible. And there are a few channels that will allow me to do that based on who my audience are. So for example, let's just say I'm Pampers, and I want to announce my new, because I just have a baby, that's I'm mentioning Pampers. So I'm Pampers, and I want to, or Huggies, and I want to launch this new diaper that is overnight and will make sure your baby doesn't leak at night. So in this case, I'm targeting new mothers or people who are taking care of children. And so you're very clear who your audience are. Your audience are mothers or caregivers who have children. And so you can be able to then define that that is my audience. I want to target women who live in Kenya and who have children. And therefore you then go into the platform and select the audience you're going after. And then you'll say, I want my ad to show to these women in these time spots and on these platforms. So if they're browsing content, for example, about sleep training, for example, and then I want my ad to show up there. Or if they're watching video related to, I guess, sleep training again, so let my ad show up there. So you're able to then define for yourself, one, who is your audience, and then define for yourself where you want your ad to play. So you can pick the audience, you can pick the various platforms. You'll say, I want my ad to show on display platforms, which could be content or blogs that cater to this kind of women, or I want my video to play on this kind of platforms as well that have this kind of content. And also, at the end of the day, if I want a woman who is not looking for Pampers or diapers, and they type on Google search, diapers that do not leak, I want my ad then to show up. So at that point, they will only pay for that ad at the point of conversion. And if they don't click on your ad, there will not be a cost for you. So we use a pay-per-click model when we're using search. So you only pay as an advertiser if a user clicks on your ad. If your ad shows up, but they don't click on your ad on Google search, it's free to you. There is no cost to you. However, if your ad is on display, for example, and you're browsing content, you pay per impression. So you pay per, in this case, 1,000 impressions, for example. Mm-hmm. So there'll be a cost you'll be assigned as at every time 1,000 of your ads has shown, for example, then you'd be paying for that case. If it's an ad on YouTube, the first 5 seconds are basically free. And if the user skips the ad, there is no cost to the advertiser. But if the user watches the ad to the completion of the ad, then we'd pay the advertiser. So that way you're able then to get for yourself free visibility on YouTube for the first 5 seconds. But remember, if you're clever, you'll say, I only have 5 seconds. Can I make sure in those 5 seconds, I'm able to communicate the bare minimum, like ads, Pampers for kids, like that do not leak. And then whatever else, the ad lib, right? So be very clever about how you build your video. That way you're saying, if the first 5 seconds are free, and if they skip, they don't come to my page, announce what's important in the first 5 seconds, and then whatever else continues on is good to know. But have a very clear call to action that you'll say, if you want that pamper, that diaper, click here, and then you can come to my page and buy the diaper or learn more about where to find it. So it's important to be very clear about what is your goal, who is your audience, where can they be found? And then based on that, you'll say, fine, if I want to charge at the point of conversion, you'll use search. If I want to just get awareness out there, I'll be on YouTube and I'll be on display. And in that case, I'm only paying per impressions, but on search, I'm paying per click. Okay. So we apply to different models for charging the advertiser. But at the end of the day, they pay per click. And if there's no click, there's no payment out to the advertiser.
Okay.
Is that clear? Yeah.
Yes. A follow-up question would be, there are 3 types of ads: a text ad, an image ad, and a video ad. For a text ad and an image ad, what would qualify to be a great ad? Because sometimes I see someone place an ad, does not have a contact or does not have a price. So, I mean, I'm not going to click. So I'm just wondering, for small businesses, what is a great ad, especially for text? Because I know text and image are more affordable than video. So if they have maybe 5,000 to spend on text ads, what would be the most effective way to communicate in an ad?
So the key there is all about having a very clear call to action on your ad. And mentioned there in my example, diapers that last the whole night or something like that. Click here to find out more. And so it's important that to be aware that Google will assign a quality score based on every single ad that you use, and only the high quality score ads will show up. And so it's important to remember that you want your ad to be seen, and it'll only show up when people are typing for those keywords. But let's just say I type in high quality ad, diapers that last the whole night, and I click and I go to shoes, right? So in that case, it's wrong. I mean, I got a horrible experience as a user. In that case, you score very low on the quality ranking, and your ad will not show up again. So it's important to remember that whatever you announce on your call to action, it should translate on your landing page. That way you're able to ensure that you're getting the optimal experience from a user perspective. And then number 2, it's also important to remember that less is more. Don't have too much copy there with exclamation marks and bold, and I mean, yeah, it should be very simple. It should be very clear. Less is more. Clear call to action, clear landing page, and an optimal experience also on the mobile site. So that way, when I come to your page, it doesn't take me 30 seconds for the page to load, and then you've lost me, right? So have a good optimal experience that is mobile optimized. That way you're able to ensure that when people come to your page, it's not heavy with graphics and flashing things, and it's just very simple. I'm able to find my diapers. I'm able to make a conversion, or I know where to call for help. So it's important to have a very clear experience for the landing page as well, optimized for mobile, quick loading time, and a very clear step there upwards for the user to be able to convert into a potential sale.
Okay. And also maybe just to add, if you pay for an ad and you're redirecting people to your website, make sure that your information is spot on, that within 2 minutes, if you were selling a product, I can make a decision whether to buy it or not. If you put an advert and then you have a lot of text, a lot of people will not convert, because I mean, even right now, most people rarely read anything that has a lot of text. And then how can people pay for ads?
Yes. Yeah, so right now, I mean, there are 2 channels. For SME right now, and I'll walk up through that in the next example, but we have a partner called Africa 118 who are based in Kenya. And for an SME who doesn't have a credit card to pay for ads, they can use this partner. As long as they have a minimum spend of 4,000 shillings a month, this partner of ours will be able to build for the SME their ads, create for them the landing, help them create a landing page that is optimal. And the SME can pay for those ads in MPESA. They don't have to have a credit card or another form of payment. They can use MPESA to pay the partner, and the partner will book the ad for them using their credit card. We're trying to see how we can roll out mobile payments for ads in Kenya. It's still work in progress, so it's soon to come. But until then, you can work through our partner. They'll help you build your ads. They'll help you test your landing page experience. They'll recommend to you whether it's a search campaign or display campaign or video campaign, how best to create for yourself the banners. And then of course, when it comes time to paying, you can pay them in M-Pesa and they'll run their credit card on your behalf. That's possible now in Kenya.
Okay. What I've seen people do is you can also get a prepaid card from any bank, and then just load it using M-Pesa, and then you just run ads from that prepaid card. So you just keep loading on it, especially if you figured out, and Google has a lot of classes online, so you can be able, I think it's called Google Digital Skills.
That's correct. Yeah, I'll post the link here. It is. That's correct.
Yeah, so you could actually learn on your own on Google Digital Skills for Africa, And then you can see what would work for you and get a prepaid card. They're free from most Kenyan banks if you're from Kenya. And you just load via MPESA, to make digital payments. Now, this is our last question before we take on questions from the attendees. And this is for everyone. This is their parting shot. We'll start with you, Chris. What are 5 practices that businesses should start doing now? Or what 5 practices that small businesses need to stop doing now? You can also blend them together.
Yeah, I'll blend them together. I think as we're going, one thing for a small business, I briefly touched on before was partnerships. You know, and that could be formal or informal, but just, if you're trying to create an audience, brand awareness or conversion, like think about your partners. Is it a store? Is it a vendor or something that has an audience that will repost or do some kind of campaign with you or a contest? You know, that can be a pretty low cost way to build your audience or lead to conversion, especially for a small business with a small budget. I think that's one. You know, I guess we've talked about social media posting. I think that I can think of from my past experience is posting a photo or some imagery or a video that gets a lot of likes, but they're not customers and no one really has an interest. You know, it was an awesome photo of some really good looking person in an amazing place. It had nothing to do with my product or service. Like, a ton of people clicked on it and liked it. I was kind of fooling myself to think that they were ever going to convert. And I think that someone mentioned that before, like, you know, if they're following you, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're customers or leads. I think in this terms of content, I've done it. I've seen people get really obsessed with, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people like this. Sure, like it was a famous person standing on top of a building, but it had nothing to do with you selling, you know, your lawyer services. Those are small ones. You know, I put up in the box, like, get a free CRM system so you can track, you know, your leads and your conversion rates and start to put a science and not just guessing behind this. Those are a couple that come to mind. And then I guess the last one, we touched on in the very beginning, like meet people where they are, especially with online marketing. You know, figure out who your audience is, you know, men, women, demographic, where are they located? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? You know, is it WhatsApp groups? You know, is it, if you're doing B2B services, are you on LinkedIn? You know, meet them where they are, you know, and also make sure the message is right for that person. It's the medium and the message. You know, if it's, I don't know, Snapchat, if your audience is 80-year-old grandmas and you're posting on Snapchat, you're clearly probably off the mark there. You know, and if it's B2B services and you're not on LinkedIn, you know, again, you could be off the mark. So meet them where they are.
Okay. Maybe Chris, as Kajuju speaks, maybe you can post the links to the coaching from Coffee Chat, and also if someone wants to have a deeper dive from your business, there's usually a link I know that you can post. So you can post for us in case anyone in the audience wants to have an engagement with you. So Kajuju, you can maybe tell us what are those 5 practices that small businesses can start doing now, especially when it comes to growing digitally, and also, what they need to stop doing now. And you can also talk about partnerships, especially when you want to identify people where you want to list your product or who you would want to work with as part of your value addition for your products.
Okay, thank you, Mercy. So like Chris has said, I think quality over quantity is definitely the way to go. A lot of the time you can have a lot of views on a story, a lot of likes, but it really doesn't convert. So think about the quality of your post. What are you writing? And what is your end goal? And then knowing your audience is what helps you to have those conversions, like we've said. The insights, the analytics, a lot of them are readily available with every single post or story that you put out there. So although that's usually available if you change your account to a business account, so you should also utilize that. And you get to see who is engaging with you, how often, which days. That can even influence which day that you'll post, what time do you post. So such things matter in getting to know your audience. Being relatable, I think, is very important. It's not enough to just put your product out there. People need to be able to relate to it. They want to see how it's being used. So things like videos really help. So instead of just posting a picture of the product, you can make a simple video, even on your phone, of you opening the product. For example, like our granola, opening a pack of granola, pouring it into a bowl of cereal. Very easy. You don't even need a professional to do that for you. And people actually appreciate when it looks more natural, that it's not been thought out so much. They can see you actually using the product. So that helps. Also, when customers usually communicate with us directly, like through Instagram, or post photos of them with the products, I like to repost that just to show the wider audience of how other customers are using their products. A lot of the time they'll even include feedback there. Oh, I really love this. I'm having it with yogurt, so I'll just take a screenshot. It's good to ask for permission as well. Like, can I share this? And I'll share that now on our page. So that also shows your other followers that there are actually people who are buying this product and they're enjoying it, and this is how they're using it. You can do this as well. Engaging with your customers. We like to ask questions. So like yesterday, I posted a picture of our granola bars, and I just put a quick question at the bottom: what's your favorite flavor? So that gets people talking, which is really great. On your stories, you can have simple prompts, like I said, where people can just write a short answer to questions. Newsletters as well. I know email doesn't seem as cool these days, like Instagram and the like, but I think it's a really great tool of putting a story out there. I do enjoy writing, so I guess that's why I like newsletters, but you can really write so much and personalize it, really talk about why you're doing what you're doing, why you love this, the idea behind a product, such things. So you can tell more of a story through newsletters, which I think customers really appreciate. And then, like has been said, the user experience. We see memes and people complaining about having to ask additional questions on a post. Like, just see, you'll see a really cool post and there's so many questions below it. How much? And so that really shows that there's something missing. People aren't getting the information that they really need. So I usually see that a lot, like with cosmetics. People just want to know how much it is because maybe there are so many other people who are offering the same thing. So I want to be easily prompted to get it from you, possibly. If not, if you really don't want to put that information out there, then just make it simple by putting the link in your bio where people can just go straight, and it's an easy, clear, simple, fast experience to purchase something or whatever you're trying to do. So I think, yeah, those are best practices.
Okay. Rosemary, would you like to add?
Yeah, just great ideas already shared. So again, have an online presence, number one. Make sure that you can be easily found. That's like step number one, basics. Where possible, use Google My Business, and I'll walk you through what that is in a few minutes. Leverage insights that you're getting from your various tools, from analytics especially. And I definitely also like newsletter marketing, where possible, definitely use it. And what they should probably stop is, even though you have followers, they're not all customers, so they won't always monetize. So always align yourself on what is your campaign objective, and then apply the right models to achieve that campaign objective, whether it's pull or whether it's push.
Okay. So we'll just dive into some of the questions that people asked when they joined or when they signed up. So Selena asked if the session will be recorded. Yes, it is recording. And then there's someone who asked, how do you find and sell your target market? How do you find and sell to your target market online when you are selling an expensive product? So it could be maybe a luxurious product or a high-end product. So maybe Rosemary and Chris, would you like to chip in into it?
Yeah, definitely. If you do have a luxurious product, it's important to know that you can definitely use online tools to help you figure out who the audience for that product could be. So if you're using, let's just say, display, and you're able to create for yourself audiences, and on those audiences you can be able to say, I want people who are currently browsing content that's similar to mine, like let's just say luxury content, whether it's high-end shoes, high-end watches, high-end cars. So you can be able to be clear and almost bullseye to say, I'm looking for people who are looking for this kind of product, and therefore be able to reach them in that category by just segmenting them and saying, or to show my ad to people who are browsing this type of content. And then you know for sure that if they're browsing the exclusive high-end cars or watches or shoes, then they'll hopefully be able to be the segments who then can then purchase your product. So just use the online tools to help you target, and then zone in bullseye on that segment, and then target them on your marketing collateral.
Okay, okay. Chris?
I would echo the same thing. I mean, I think it would get back to keywords that, that identify as premium, bidding on things like, those categories. And then if it's, and building the profiles, as was just said, if it's Instagram, that's, the idea is that they're making it pretty easy that you can build these profiles based on what they're buying, their interests, income level, income levels there, education levels there. It's not everything, but, if your profile is, build that profile of that customer and just mimic it on Instagram or any of the other platforms. Like, they're doing the work for you. The platforms are trying to make it easy. So we don't have to guess, as 5 million marketers around the world. I mean, that is the idea.
Okay. So Kathy says they are a social enterprise that works with informal daycares to standardize their services. So they're looking forward to learning something new and increasing their sales using digital marketing. Maybe Rosemary, as a parent, what would be your advice to Kathy?
Sorry, what is Kathy's product?
So she says they are a social enterprise that works with informal daycares to standardize their services. So she's looking forward to learning something new on increasing their sales using digital marketing.
Okay, yeah. So I think, Kathy, just number one is definitely have an online presence. Create for yourself a Google My Business profile. It's free. There's no cost to that. It also comes with a complimentary business site. So if you don't have a website, get one. It's also for free. And on those tools, you're able then to announce who you are and what your products and services are, and at least be able to then be found when people are looking for your kind of products. Number two, if you are looking to do a particular campaign, it'll be important to decide for yourself what is your campaign objective. Are you trying to create for yourself awareness? And therefore, I would encourage you, if you have no experience, to definitely look at our partner. I'll post the link here as well. Call them and say, I want to do a campaign, advise me on what platforms I could consider to do my campaign, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, search, display, or all of them. What would the optimal platform for me to then use to create for myself awareness? But if I want to get leads, then how best can I get leads on the various lead platforms? So number one, of course, get an online presence. Number two, ask for help. And I'll link our partners' contact there that you can reach out to them for support post this discussion.
Okay, okay. Maybe this is to you, Chris. How do you retain your customers using technology? Customer retention.
I mean, if it's retention, you might do retargeting campaigns. So they've come to your site, you have cookies, if you're okay with that, and you're retargeting them. That's one, getting them on the, we talked about the newsletter. That's another item, obviously, to keep them engaged, following you. But at the end of the day, it's also the basics. Like, you have to have some kind of clear call to action of why they're going to, be a repeat customer. Is it a new product? Is it somewhere in the product cycle you're evolving them, that they're going from like, the relatively low cost to the intermediate, to the high end, brand, and they're growing with you? I mean, all that has to be clear. And if it's a consumable good, like it's going to be, keeping top of mind and brand awareness, that, they know that, I think someone posted about honey. They're running out. They're thinking about your honey. They know where to buy it. If it's online, like it's, quickly accessible and easy.
Okay. Rosemary, this is yours. This is from Wamboi. She says, does the 14-day verification by mail for Google My Business apply in Kenya? And what are the, oh yeah, that's for you. Does the 14-day verification by mail for Google My Business apply in Kenya?
Yeah, so Wamboi, and I'll talk about that in the next few minutes, but ultimately it's difficult in Africa in general, because we found that for an SME, they don't always have a postal address that can receive a postcard. And so what we have done is we've tried to simplify the process in Kenya and also across Africa, where we are saying, forget about that postcard process, contact our partner. They will verify you via phone and send you an email. And then once they verify you, they'll send you an email to own your profile, and therefore it's now yours. So I'm just gonna post it one more time on the chat here, Wamboi. You don't have to go through that online process. Just reach out to our partner, so that you want to create a business profile. You've gone through the process. They'll pick it up from you where the process ended, and they will verify you via email, and then send you an email to own and receive ownership of your profile, and then therefore you can move forward and update it. So ignore that process, use the simpler one, and it'll make your life easier. I'll put the contact just right now in chat. Yeah.
Okay. The other question that she asked is, what are the charges of a till number? And if the business opts to pay instead of transferring the cost to the customer. So maybe to answer that, there are usually two types when you register. The first tariff is where you pass it on, and the second tariff is where you want to take up the cost. And the cost, they usually in the application form, I posted the MPESA till application, online application registration link on the chat. And usually it gives you the matrix so that you can see the bands and how much it will cost. For each band, it's not a one-off price, but it's usually by band, just like the way transaction cost happen and also withdrawal cost happen. It's usually per band as opposed to one-off. And as a business owner, when you're registering, you can choose whether you want it to be yours or whether you want it to be the consumer. Then the other question was by Emmanuel. How do you introduce a new product to the market without bombarding the potential users as is the norm? This is to you, Kajuju. You have introduced a lot of products. So how have you done it without bombarding potential users with the same, you know how you feel customer fatigue because someone is just posting the same thing over and over and over? So how would you advise Emmanuel to do it differently?
Okay, so I like to space out posts about new products or even the product itself. So I'll do maybe every 5 posts, then I'll post actually like specifically about the product. But with the rest of the posts, I'm actually just telling a story about the brand. That is what most of the posts will be. And I think that helps in kind of balancing it. So the others will be, for example, someone talks about honey. So maybe in one, you're just posting the honey and its packaging so people can actually recognize the product. But the others, you can probably maybe post pictures of a cup of tea where you have the honey in it. You can post a picture of like where you're sourcing the honey, like the beehives. And that's still showing people that you have a new product, the honey, but not really like in their face. So always think about how you can tell the story. And by the time you're introducing the product, then you should really know it and what gives it a competitive advantage. like to use honey again. I mean, there's so many people who are doing honey or any other kind of product. There's so many other people who could be doing it or who may do it pretty soon enough. So you need to know why yours is different. For example, is it organic? Is it sourced from a particular part of Kenya? And with that, you can get ideas of how to build on that story as well. So try to tell a story. I think that really, really helps.
Definitely. And sometimes also using different social media features like going live, especially, for example, you can go live between yourself and someone else, maybe who's either supplying you or who is talking, or it could also be just you talking about the new product and also creating some excitement towards the launch. I follow Wamboi Kureba on Instagram, and I've seen she has been creating a lot of hype towards Sunday.
We lost Mercy.
Oh yeah. Oh, I thought it was just me.
Shame.
Hi. I think we've lost Mercy for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was actually directing a question from Patricia Mayhem.
Okay.
I don't know if any of you got it, so you can be able to let's give an answer. Or should I repeat it out to you?
Yes,
So,
please.
okay. Patricia was actually inquiring, what is the best way to launch honey for social enterprise, the market for the first time through digital marketing?
Oh, sorry. I got a power blackout where I am.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, so
I was actually just repeating the question to them, so maybe you can go ahead.
Oh, which question?
The one for introducing honey to the market, the best way for digital marketing, yeah.
I can't see it on my chart. Maybe you can just ask.
I think Kajuju was answering the question about launching honey with her examples. So I think maybe you can continue, Kajuju, with that wonderful explanation.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. So another thing that I think we may all have noticed, at least I have, is that people are engaging more with stories. So that's the feature at the top of pages where you have videos. So I think you should also try to think about, the kind of videos that you could take. Like I was saying, when you're telling a story, then that can include like where you're sourcing your ingredients from. So something like at the beehives, just showing how you're kind of extracting the honey and posting that on your story, then that can really get people interested in what you're doing and probably interested in purchasing the product. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Is there anyone else who'd like to add to that?
Maybe Beryl, I saw a question about events. I can't see it on my chart. Everything disappeared. Beryl, do you mind reading out the question on the events?
Sorry, and as she looks for the question, I just remembered something that, we recently did with some new flavors that we were introducing. And it was actually the first time that I did it, doing, maybe not the first time, but recently, doing a giveaway. And I got so much engagement. I was actually very, very surprised. I actually had to cut short the campaign because so many people were engaging with it. But I put up a picture of the new flavors that we had, which were Bars and Bites, and then I blocked out the flavors, like the the text of the flavors and just ask people to guess, what do you think these new flavors are? And then after that, after I got a few people engaging, and I then offered like to send out the products to 3 people who would correctly guess the flavors. And it really got a lot of engagement. And apart from that, I also got a lot of feedback on what kind of flavors people would actually be interested in, which is actually giving us, or rather influencing our thought process for the next products that we might like to launch. So I think that was a pretty interesting way of introducing a product, because you kind of, it's like a game that you're playing with people, and people are actually excited to actually kind of guess, oh, I might get it right. So I think that was interesting.
I would say for the honey question, we've hit on it a little bit. Just be really clear on how your product's distinguished from your competitors in your social media, on your website, in your conversation, like make that very simple to understand. And then I don't think we hit on it for you, customer testimonials might be really valuable, especially for a product that you would typically, maybe taste in person before purchasing or want to. If that's not going to happen in an online digital world, a customer testimonial that you can get probably easily for no cost might go a long way to getting credibility with new customers.
Yeah, so maybe I can also I've just posted something on the chat. So one of our partners, SME Founders Association, they are in partnership with Visa and PayPal, and they're giving out mobile POS systems to small businesses so that they can receive card payments. So if you are interested in getting that mobile POS system, it's free of charge. Right now they have a campaign, and they also are giving out, let me see what they're also giving out. So they can also integrate it with your system. If you have a website, they can integrate it so that you can receive payments globally directly on your website. And then they're also giving out $200 worth of digital advertising. So if you're interested in this initiative, there's a link I've just posted right now. Check it out and sign up, and the SME Founders Association will contact you. So Beryl can read the question, and then we can give Rosemary the stage.
So the question was, as an event manager, how best can I convert leads? I find packaging services more difficult compared to products. This was raised by Denise. Should I repeat it?
I think Chris can answer.
Can you repeat it? As an event manager, they want
how best can I convert leads? I find packaging services more difficult compared to products.
I mean, what my mind goes to for an event manager, I'd want to be gathering as much information as possible. Well, as much quality information as possible from a lead, before I try to convert them. So I guess probably, I don't know what kind of events you do, but I would imagine events are like pretty specific and tailored to the business, the size, the scope of what they want to do. I don't think it doesn't sound like, this is a service business that's not one size fits all, it sounds like. So I'd want to be, qualifying the leads that we talked about, because you can't serve all people. We talked about that, qualifying them, and then have some like simple call to action where they can, answer a few key questions that can refine, that product service match. So if it's online and they're filling out a form or they're doing a survey or something, that's where my mind goes. Qualify them, get some key pieces of information, that let you understand what their problem is or what solution you're trying to solve for, what the event is, and then focus on that what sounds like a pretty tailored pitch and conversion. Just trying to blast out, hey, we do weddings, I mean, that's okay, but there's a lot of weddings out there, and there's a lot of different wedding customers from, you know, low cost to premium and different sizes and geographies, you know. So it sounds like that for an event manager, you have to kind of hone in on that and tailor your sales pitch, conversion, and marketing to those specifics, not just saying, you know, we do events for weddings, like why aren't people contacting me based on that cool photo? I mean, that's pretty tailored. That's
Okay.
where my mind is.
Okay. Thank you. Apologies for extending the time by 4 minutes. Would like to extend by another 6 minutes. So I'd like Rosemary maybe to show us a presentation of what Google is doing for small businesses.
Thank you, and I'll go really quickly because now we are out of time. So thank you for this, Marcy. So we did some research to understand how we can be more helpful to SMEs, more so now during COVID or post-COVID. And we came up with 3 need states. SMEs right now are really struggling to get access to services and to tools, and more so to how do they come online. Number 2, they need customers, and that cuts across whether they are micro or medium SMEs, whether they're in agri or they're tech. They need a way to be able to get customers. And then finally, they also require access to finance as a basic thing to just either pay their bills or pay their suppliers or just manage their overheads. And so we came up with a couple of products that I think some of them are new, some of them are pre-existing. The first one is Google My Business. So if I was to look for just some background. So SMEs today, a lot of them right now don't have an online presence. And for them, they feel like it's going to be costly for them to come online. And we found that it's important for them to understand that there are tools that are available right now for any SME, wherever they may be in the world, even here in Africa, that are free. And this one is called Google My Business. So if I was to do a search, for example, plumber near me, what you see here are all the GMV profiles. They show up first before the even organic results come up. So in this case, this plumber here, OK Plumbing, has got, I double clicked on them and you'll see they have reviews on Google on their business profile. You'll see where they are located. In this case, they're on Ring Road Parklands. You'll see a phone number, their opening hours, which is very important to highlight as well. And also if they have a website, I can link directly to this from their website. If they have a physical presence, I'm able to go to them through Google Maps. So this profile helps them show up on Google Search and Maps. And we find that SMEs who then have a profile are more likely to get visits that would then lead to a purchase. If they don't have a website, we're offering them a free business site that's available to them. Again, for them, they can then put their gallery of photos, they can add whatever else they want to add on that one pager. And what's important here, they are able to connect to the SME, to the users through phone numbers, opening hours, and that's, again, very, very important. So if you want to get this business profile, you don't have to go through that 14-day verification process. Just go to this website here, click on either request a quote or call for support, and you'll get a phone call back within 24 hours from our partner who will walk you through how to create a business profile and a business site. Again, there is no cost for this. It's super free. It's super easy. It takes no time to have this built for you. I also mentioned to you that we launched the marketing kit. Again, here's the URL to go and find it. For this one, you need to have a business profile for it to work. So you put your business profile here. And then it'll help you create for yourself stickers, posters that you can then put on social media. Again, it's another free tool available to any SME in Kenya as well. So I'll put this link again on chat, but it's available to you now. But again, you need a business profile for this to work. Then I'll talk to you, I'll come back to the video, I'll do it last, but we launched this wonderful tool again. It's Market Finder. For SMEs now who want to export their products beyond their current boundaries, here's the website here, you'd go to it. You put your website here, it will scroll through your website, pick your keywords, and then propose to you where you can export your products to anywhere in the world, and then who the partners would be along the value chain, supply chain for you to be able to engage with. And then finally, for those SMEs who want to up their game and now start building for themselves ads, normally you'd have to hire a creative agency to build these ads for you because they're a little bit complex. They're a little bit more complex to do than your typical other ads. So in this case, we're saying if you have a minimum spend of 4,000 shillings for the first 30 days, at the very least, our partner can help you build your campaign for you at no cost for setup. You just invest in the media, but they'll build for you the campaign, they'll pick the keywords for you, help you build the banners, pick for you what platforms to engage in, and then you can go live in no time. So they're available to support you as well You just have to invest in the cost of media. And here's where you can find them again. They are called Africa 118. Here's the website to find them. And they are wonderful to help get SMEs started. So I'm just going to go back to just share this video with you. I'll end with this video if you don't mind, Marcy. It just highlights the story of an SME in Kenya who use our tools. It's always best to hear it from their voice because then it's a little bit more believable to the user. So let me just play this video.
When I was in school, I started making soap. I'm a creative person by nature, so this was a perfect medium for me to express myself. My name is Wangari Njue. 2016, I started Njue Organics, and the soap is made from very wonderful natural oils, locally available herbs and additives, very beneficial to the skin. We had literally nothing, and we were like, how are people going to know about us? In 2019, some ladies introduced us to the Google My Business profile. Once we started using the platform, it propelled us to the next level. We didn't expect the rapid growth. We got inquiries in markets that we had previously not anticipated. In March, we had the coronavirus outbreak. We were under lockdown. We could not access our shop. We were fearful at the beginning. We thought that our business would go down, but the opposite actually happened. We were able to get inquiries from Uganda, from Southern Sudan, and we were able to ship our consignments. Even in the crisis, our revenues grew by 100%, which is amazing. Google My Business has been the turnaround at Njue Organics. It has really raised our level of doing business. It has really given us a professional edge, a bigger audience than we had initially anticipated. As a mother, and especially as a new mom, this digital platform have enabled me as a woman entrepreneur to still work, manage my business as I take care of my newborn baby. I am able to actually teach and to learn and to be fulfilled, to feel part of the story, part of the fabric of society, not to feel left out, to keep improving myself at the same time improving the business, touching and changing people's lives when they encounter our products.
Okay, and that's it. Thank you so much, Marcy, for the opportunity.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. Any last words from Kajuju, from Chris? Okay, so they don't have any last words. So if you want to book Chris, he has put his link there. If you would like to buy plant-based healthy food and snacks, please check out healthykajuju.com. I also posted the link on the chat, and also follow them on social media. I hope this was informative. I hope you've learned something from this session. This is the last session that we've had for the SMEs going digital. We will release the other videos later on in the course of the year. So thank you so much for believing in us, for tuning in. And we hope that you have learned something from Rosemary, from Kajuju, and also from Chris and Lilian as well. So thank you so much, everyone, for attending. And thank you so much, Dorothy. I saw you. It was lovely having you here. Thank you. Goodbye. Have a lovely weekend.